welcome to Alpha Militaria TV. Thanks very much for tuning in once again and seeing what we're up to. And I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has supported the channel so far by subscribing to us. We do really appreciate that. And if you would like to support us, you can do so by hitting the subscribe button and also by checking out the links below. There's some links to our newly launched shop and also to some products on Amazon that I use on a regular basis. Now, to get back to the focus of today's video, we're going to be talking about a scope in the main, but I just want to let you know that we're going to be reviewing this rifle sometime very soon. It's the Zbrojja Hortitsia, the Mark II. Now, Matt Manning, a colleague of mine on Airgun Shooter Magazine and the Airgun Show, is a big fan of this rifle. He has a Mark I and he's used it an awful lot in his videos on the Airgun Show. But this is the Mark II, so we're going to be putting it through its paces sometime in the next few days, and we'll bring you that video as well. Right, but to talk specifically about this scope, this is from the MTC Optics range. It is the MTC Optics Cobra F1 4-16x50, and it's a first focal plane scope. And it's a very affordable first focal plane scope as well. They tend to be more expensive. This one retails, at least in our shop, for £290. It's a part of the MTC Cobra King Cobra range. So the King Cobra is a 6-24x50 first focal plane scope, and is the sort of the larger sister product to this one. And that retails in our shop for £370. And again, a very affordable first focal plane scope. Now, the difference between first focal plane scopes like this and the King Cobra and second focal plane scopes, which in the MTC case is the Mamba Pro range, the Viper Pro range as well, is that on a second focal plane scope, the reticle is placed behind the magnification lens. And what that means is that as you go up and down the magnification range, the size of the reticle will stay exactly the same. Now, on a first focal plane scope, the reticle is placed in front of the magnifying lens. And that means that as you go up and down the range, the reticle itself will actually shrink and grow bigger as well. Now, the good thing about that is that it means that the relationship on a first focal plane scope, the relationship between your aim point and the thing you're aiming at won't change regardless of the magnification that you're using. So if you are shooting at, say, 10 times at a target at 50 meters away, and you might have to give that, let's say, 2 mil dots of holdover, you will also need 2 mil dots of holdover at 16 times, or even 24 times on the King Cobra. With a second focal plane scope, what you'll find is that the relationship between your aim point and your target will change depending on what magnification you're using. So in other words, you might be quite happily shooting away at a target 50 meters away with 2 mil dots of holdover on 10 times magnification. Then you'll go up to 24 times magnification, and you'll suddenly find that you need 4 or 5 mil dots, let's say, of holdover. So first focal plane eliminates that variance between aim point and target based on magnification, which is great. The downside is that you will find that on first focal plane scopes, on the lower magnification, that reticle can really shrink down and be quite small, almost to the point of it not being usable. Now, that issue disappears as you get onto higher magnification, and in all honesty, most people are going to use their scopes on sort of 8, 10, 12 times magnification anyway, and it's not an issue. But if you do find yourself shooting at, say, 4 times, then that reticle can get quite small. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk through some of the key features on the Cobra F1, and then I'll take it out to the range or to one of my permissions and show you some footage through the scope as well, and I can show you that the reticle getting bigger and smaller, and that how small it gets on the lower magnification. Now, this scope is best suited to hunting. This really is a hunting scope. Having said that, Now you can use this for hunter field target shooting as well, for informal target shooting, range shooting, plinking in the garden even. It's perfectly suitable for that. But this is a great product if you're a hunter. 344 millimeters long, and it's 834 grams in weight. So it's quite a it's quite a chunky scope. It's not huge by any stretch of the imagination. It's pretty much a regular size scope. And on this rifle, I had to say it didn't really affect the balance whatsoever. Now you've got some great features on this, and we'll show you these in close-up detail. So you have a side parallax wheel on the left-hand side here, and that parallax basically enables you to all kinds of things, but in essence, it enables you to focus on your target at different distances. And the parallax on this model, I think, goes down to 15 yards. So for air gunners in particular, that's really, really useful, because often we're shooting at 15 yards or even less out to say 30, 40 yards. And it means that you can adjust that parallax to make the image nice and crisp. And it will also help you with your range estimation as well. You can turn this side wheel round until the target is nice and crisp. Look at the marking here, and that will give you a rough idea of how far away your target is. It also has an illuminated reticle on the side here, and we'll show you this to you again in a minute. It takes a CR2032 battery, which comes supplied, and you have 6 settings on this side wheel on the left here, and each one has an off in between. So it goes 01, 02, 03, and what that means is that you can select the level of brightness that you particularly want, whether that's 1 through to 6, and then you can switch it off with just a tiny little turn. Then you can snap straight back to it again and switch it on without having to go through all the other brightness levels to get to your desired level. Really, really good feature, that. The eye relief is between 105 and 115 millimeters, so that's 3 inches or so, 3.5 inches, and that's fairly standard as well. And in terms of field of view, now field of view is, if you like, the landscape that you can see in terms of image through the end of the scope at different distances. And at 100 meters on 4 times magnification, you should be able to see just over 8 meters of landscape. Then if you zoom that into 16 times magnification, that will shrink down to 2.2 meters. And really, in essence, what that means is that people tend to use the low magnification to scan around the field because they can see more of the field, and then when they pick on a target, or they want to see something closer up, then they zoom in to get much closer and get closer into the target. Now the reticle is MTC's proprietary SCB2 reticle. Great reticle, lots of aim points on it, half mil dot and mil dot aim points, really, really good, but it's not at all cluttered. And one thing I've noticed with the Cobra F1, and I think it's exclusive to the Cobra F1, is that the very center box, if you like, around where the crosshairs meet, is thicker. In terms of the lines are thicker than they are on the rest of the scope, and I really like that, because when you're on aim, that box kind of frames exactly what you're aiming at. Really, really good feature, that. And when you use the illuminated feature, it's only that box that switches on, and the center part of the reticle that switches on. Really nice. Now, what you'll find is that the combination of this 50mm lens, the 30mm tube, the quality of the lenses, and the coatings on the lenses, and the fact that this has been nitrogen purged to eliminate any kind of fogging issues, really makes this not only very crisp to look through in daylight at different magnifications and good color as well, but it also means that in low light conditions, it will really suck in any available light and transfer that into your eye, especially on the lower magnification levels. And that means that you can use this scope when the light starts to go before it gets completely dark. And of course, with that illuminated reticle, that will help you with that as well. Now we should talk about the turrets. So the layout is nice and standard. You have an elevation turret up here, which will adjust your aim point up and down, and then you have a windage turret on the side here that will adjust your your point of impact left and right as well. Particularly useful for those who like to dial in their distances on the elevation turret rather than use holdover. Now, one click on the turrets, either the elevation turret or the windage turret, will adjust the point of impact by 1 centimetre at 100 metres. So half a centimetre at 50 metres, quarter of a centimetre at 25 metres. So, you know, if you get down on the range and you set a target out at 30 yards and you find yourself 4 or 5 inches to the right, 4 or 5 inches top and bottom, each time you make a click on the scope, you're going to adjust that by 1/4 of a centimetre to bring it up and down, left and right. And in terms of the scope of adjustment that you've got, you're looking at 140 centimetres in terms of elevation. What's that? 1.4 meters of elevation adjustment for elevation and also for windage as well. Now, finally, great thing about all MT scopes is that they come with these screw-on magnetic lens covers. Very, very good quality. Screw them in. Now, the rear one, there's one obviously front and back. Now the rear one has this, has a clear pane to it. I'll take that off and show you without dropping it this time. So there's a clear, hopefully you can see that, has a clear pane. Now that has a 2 times magnifier in it, which is really, really helpful if your eyes are a bit dodgy like mine. You can use that to see what markings or what settings you've got on your scope. So if you want to check out your elevation setting, you can look through that to see what your elevation marking is. If you want to check out your windage setting, again, you can use the pane there to check out your windage setting, and even you can check out your parallax setting as well. Really, really good feature. That not only does it obviously protect your lenses, it means you won't lose them, but it also has, you know, a practical application in terms of that viewing window as well. And then finally, you can get a sunshade extension for this scope as well. You know, if the sun's really, really bright, and you can get an oversized parallax wheel as well. So yeah, that's the scope in overview. Really, really good scope. That first focal plane precision is really, really handy, and the quality of the optics means that, you know, if you're target shooting at 50 meters, you know, you can see even 177 pellet holes very, very clearly with this. Yeah, really good little scope. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to strap on the scope cam cradle, put my phone on this, take it down the range, or possibly nip out to one of my permissions, and then show you what the scope looks like through the lens. So we talked about all the features of the Cobra F1 in the recording garage. I brought the rifle down to the range here at Reading Air Target Shooting Club to show you what the scope is like through the lens on my scope camera. And this is on, that is 16 times magnification. And then if I zoom down to the lower magnification, you can see that the reticle gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Right, and so that's 4 times magnification. As you can see, the reticle is still usable, but it's very, very small. And then as you go up through the magnification range, it gets bigger again, up to the full 16 times.
Jesus Christ. It's what, sorry? 85 foot pound. Oh, that's all. It's going to smart a bit.
So let's just zoom that down a little bit. So that is that's 10 times magnification. That's 8 times magnification, which is probably as small as you're going to want to go reticle size wise. If I zoom up again and show you the reticle illumination function. So as you can see, that centre part of that reticle is much thicker. So there you go, there's the illuminated reticle. So you can click through different levels of illumination with an off in between. So I think that's off. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's 6. That's the brightest. So let's show you this parallax feature. So that tin can there is at 10 yards away, and then that next set of targets, well, those crows there, they're at about 15 meters away, and then that board there, that's 30. So you just want to bring that into focus a little bit easier. You can see the 40 target there. Just adjusting that parallax again, that brings that in. And then there you go, there's a 50. So that just brings that into focus again. Only minute touches on the dial, but that just brings you into focus. Well, I hope you found that interesting. That is the MTC Optics Cobra F1 4-16 by 50 first focal plane scope. Great scope, really performs very, very well. And that is on sale in our store right now. Follow the links below. So I hope you found that useful. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That will help us as well. And until next time, thanks for watching.